I don't think anyone had expectations for the Fallout show. I certainly didn't, and for the people that did, the majority of them were expecting something very, very bad. If you opened up YouTube before a week ago and searched up Fallout show, what you got was a bunch of commentators and critics saying with full confidence, yeah, this is gonna suck. Well, guess what? They were all wrong, because the overwhelming consensus from people on the internet is that this show is fucking awesome. But I'm not here to gush over the show and why it's so great and yada yada yada. Instead, I want to talk about what the future holds for Fallout post-TV show, and why I think this is literally the best thing to happen for the Fallout fandom in literal decades. Fallout fans have been starved for content for a long while now. Aside from a multiplayer game that was a massive cash grab and most fans rejected, we're nearly a decade out from the last mainline Fallout release, with that being Fallout 4 in 2015, which, yes, was 9 years ago, you're old. But now we have the Fallout show, and if it's truly as good as I and many others are saying it is going to attract boatloads of new fans to the franchise. How do I know this? Well, just look at what happened with The Witcher show. When The Witcher show released, which was also adapted from a video game in case you don't know what The Witcher is for some reason, it introduced the game franchise to a massive, primarily non-gaming audience, and sales for the latest Witcher game increased by 600% over the next year. Hell, my dad watched The Witcher, and he's 45 and plays like one video game a year. He sure as shit didn't know about the Witcher games until the show came out, but there was a couple of weeks there where he kept talking about that shit. It's obviously too early to tell whether it will be just a bump for the franchise or much, much bigger, but I'm basically certain that the Fallout fandom will grow sizably because of this new show. And personally, I think it will be the biggest jump in popularity for Fallout since Fallout 3. But another big question is, what will these new fans even mean for the franchise? Because I saw a couple people speculate that if the Fallout show gets popular and boosts the franchise like I'm saying it will lead viewers to have the wrong perception of Fallout. To illustrate what I'm saying, imagine some new fan we'll call Little Billy. Billy just got done watching the Fallout show, and he really wants to play this Fallout game that he's never heard of that the show is based on. So little Billy goes on the internet, searches what's the newest Fallout game, gets Fallout 76, and then has his childhood innocence ruined. But, thankfully, that's not what's gonna happen. And the reason I say that is because of the show itself. You see, the Fallout show takes place on the West Coast instead of the East Coast setting where all of the Bethesda games take place. This had some people worry that we were going to get a quote-unquote Bethesda-approved rewrite of the established West Coast lore, but guess what? That, for the most part, didn't happen. Because aside from a few minor things, Bethesda are actively making a point to respect the West Coast lore of games past while still changing up a few things to tell an entertaining story. And, despite annoying New Vegas fanboys who have a hate boner for Bethesda for some reason, the show is very New Vegas inspired. I mean, the show literally has wasteland cowboys shooting revolvers on the West Coast in the desert and shit. You know what's the only game in the franchise to have all those things? Fallout New Vegas. You know, the game that is lauded as being the best Fallout game ever by fans. The game that millions of people have been dying for a sequel or successor to for years. The Fallout show is basically a godsend for Fallout New Vegas fans everywhere, and it's an acknowledgement that Bethesda, because remember, they were involved in the show's production, are actively trying to give fans what they want. And they aren't gonna make all the next games be Fallout 76 2 or some shit. But Muffin, you might say. How can you say Bethesda is respecting the West Coast lore when they retcon Fallout New Vegas? Well, here's the thing about that. No, they didn't. I swear to God, the whole timeline drama has got to be one of the most smooth-brained things I've seen in the Fallout fandom. That's not to say that there aren't retcons. I mean, ghouls now need magical ghoul juice to not turn feral. That's kinda dumb. But that's besides the point. The main point is that the West Coast is back, baby! And that leads me to my final point, which is that I believe that we're going to get a Fallout game, probably even a West Coast Fallout game, within the next couple of years. Now, I know that sounds crazy, but as I just explained, Fallout New Vegas' DNA is all over the show. And with that, it just makes sense that they would do another game on the West Coast again to fall in line with what the new show is doing. It'd make a lot of money, and I feel like Bethesda and Microsoft knows that. And on top of that, there's already some evidence for it. For one, there was the confirmed rumors years ago that New Vegas 2 was in very early talks at Microsoft. Also, last year in 2023, there was a discovery on Steam that a developer-only beta branch was in their database that was literally called New Vegas 2. However, this isn't confirmation because these beta branches can literally be anything, including random Creation Club shit, and they did a Fallout 3 Creation Club thing, so it's anybody's guess to what the hell that was all about. But also, during the FTC lawsuit that Microsoft is going through right now, there is a leaked document that showed Bethesda's planned releases from 2020 to 2025. And on that list was a Fallout 3 remake scheduled for 2024. However, this list also had an Oblivion remake planned for 2021, which as we all know, didn't happen. I really want to believe that we're getting New Vegas 2 or a big remake or some shit like that, but there's not a lot of direct evidence for that. But with the new show, signs are pointing to the West Coast. And now that Bethesda and Obsidian are under the same parent company, Microsoft, and Bethesda has the final say on what Fallout games they have made, it's highly likely that something gets released relatively soon to cash in on the show. Again, it's just good business. So overall, I think the future of Fallout is very bright. I think the drought that we've had for new content is going to be over now. We're most probably getting a new game or something in between waiting for Fallout 5, and the franchise's popularity is only going to go up massively from this point. But who knows? Maybe Bethesda will just fuck it up again. But knowing how Fallout 76 and Starfield turned out, I sincerely doubt that Microsoft will let them fuck up that badly a third time. I hope. We'll see. I'm the Logamuffin, subscribe or I'll kick you in the dick, and I'll see you up ahead.